My name is Rob Guillory. I draw a comic called Chew for Image Comics. I started drawing comics probably when I was around age 9. Back then I didn't really consider it a real career, so I didn't actually pursue it professionally until I was a freshman in college, around 2001-ish. Around that time, I just kind of started going to conventions and networking, and that took about 5 or 6 years. Eventually, I started getting a little bit of work, low-paying work. Eventually, that kind of turned into better-paying work, and it just kind of snowballed into what I'm doing now, which is Chew for Image, and that's a full-time job. The process for Chew is he generally sends me a comic script about 3 months before the issue comes out. So that kind of gives me time to read it and reread it, kind of really put myself into the script and start kind of thinking about how to approach it. From there, I usually pencil out all the pages, ink, and send them to Layman. He from there takes the scans and does all the lettering, some rough lettering for the book, and then I get the pages back and I color them the last week of production. And then he finally letters it and basically sends it off to Image, and then they slap the Image eye on it, and it's a done deal. I think it needs to be an equal collaboration, and that's how it is with me and John Layman. It's not just him pulling his weight and me pulling my weight. The two of us actually inspire each other, and the work changes as relate to that. Personally, it takes me 5 weeks to make an entire issue of Chew, and that's a 20-page comic, penciled, inked, and colored, plus a full color cover. And that's really just because I am doing everything visually. I've tried to cut corners and that kind of thing, and it just never works out. Nowadays, my schedule is I wake up every day at 6 a.m. I'm in the studio for 7. Usually the day starts with just kind of checking in with emails, kind of touching base with editors and whatever. And usually I kind of plan out the page and pencil it from around 8 to 10 o'clock, and then from 10 to I guess 5 o'clock when I leave here, I'm just inking and kind of planning the next page. That's pretty much every day for me. Deciding upon the actual layout of the thing, of each page, kind of really depends on what every page needs. For a 9-panel page, it's a dialogue-heavy page with no action whatsoever, and it doesn't need any space. So in this case, it's really just all about this one character acting. So that's perfect for a 9-panel grid. Each one is kind of different. Each one kind of has needs for close-ups, far shots, environmental stuff. I mean, I really do just feel it out. For every different page, everyone's completely different. I think Mason Savoy is probably my favorite character. Either him or John Kobe. Both are kind of like really, really vivid, over-the-top characters. Tony Chew himself is usually pretty... He is the Peter Parker kind of like general everyman. So he's not like the most interesting guy to draw, but like the other guys are just the exact opposite of him. I mean, Kobe has a cybernetic face, and Mason's like super fat and doing kung fu. So those guys are my favorites. Actually, John came up with Pollo, but the thing here is, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about concept and the execution, is that he thought of him, but he didn't think Pollo wasn't in the initial idea. And when we did issue number 1 of Chew, Pollo was not in the plan. But whenever Layman saw I could pull it off, that's when he made Pollo, basically. Basically just was born out of the two of us and seeing what we could do with each other. Yeah, Ken Leung's is our guy. I mean, we have actually been in contact with him. Felicia Day is our pick for Amelia, and again, we've been in contact with her. We want her. Josh Holloway for Kobe would be perfect. Brendan Gleeson, who is in a bunch of different movies, he would be the perfect guy for Savoy. I don't know if he would do television. And Adrian Paul, who is the Highlander, the old Highlander, he would be perfect for the vampire character. Ken Jeong, who is in a bunch of stuff, he was like in Knocked Up. He's like that angry little Asian guy. He would be perfect for Chow. So that's the perfect cast. The advice I would give to anyone trying to break into comics, in particular, just because that's what I know, is go to conventions, network, work up a portfolio, show it to professionals, editors, writers, other artists, and actually listen to what they have to say. 9 times out of 10, if you're getting the same criticism over and over again, that means they're probably right. And just touch base with those people. Eventually, you're building relationships with them, and as their work progresses, they'll start thinking of you, and that's generally how this thing works. It's really about relationships.